I seem to be able to put my feelings down in a song easier than I can talk about.
The life I love is making music with my friends, and I can't wait to get on the road again.
Willie Nelson was never built for Hollywood symmetry. Too craggy, too odd, too much like the guy at the bar instead of the guy on the poster. He certainly does not fit the profile of an actor by the way he dresses. Studios and critics treated that like a problem to fix. Willie never saw it that way. He walked onto sets the same way he walked on stage. Hat, guitar, weed, and zero interest in pretending to be anyone but himself. With that aspect, you cannot help but respect the man for standing up for his values.
Oh, it was a thing to do because it got you high. Can you dig it?
I feel you. That's why I'm doing it. I feel it. Yeah.
Hollywood kept trying to reshape Willie, and every time he pushed back by doubling down on being himself. You can understand why Willie hated Hollywood. If you want to understand why Willie feels so real on screen, you have to look at the moments when the town tried to rewrite him, and he simply refused.
His knees was a raging black stag. Walking behind was a babe.
There's a shot in Red-Headed Stranger where Willie's preacher just stands there in the street. Hat down, eyes tired, body almost still. Nothing big happens. But you can feel the entire record in that stare. The sins, the guilt, the stubbornness. That look did not come from a studio casting call. In the late 70s, Willie and writer-director Bill Whitleaf had a simple plan. Turn the Red-Headed Stranger concept album into a film with Willie in the center. Universal liked the idea. They liked the script, they were less sure about the man. This is classic Hollywood math. We love your story, we don't trust your face. The studio came back with a note that sounds like parody now. What if they got a safer movie star? Someone like Robert Redford to play the stranger, and Willie could just do the music and maybe a smaller role. On a spreadsheet, that probably looked responsible. In reality, it kills the whole point. The album works because you believe that the same broken soul is singing every track. Take Willie out of the center of the film, and you've just bought yourself an off-brand western with a famous soundtrack. Willie and Whitleaf did something almost no one does in that position. They gave the money back, they bought the script out, walked away from the big budget, and rebuilt the project as an independent movie shot, mostly on a ramshackle town Willie had already built near his golf course. The budget dropped from studio blockbuster to glorified shoestring overnight. From the outside, it looks insane. You trade a controlled, comfortable production for dust, heat, and risk, all to keep a stubborn old man in the center of the frame. From the inside, it's simple. If the film isn't about this man's face, voice, and moral weight, it isn't Red-Headed Stranger anymore. My read watching it now. Is it a perfect film? No, the pacing is slow, some scenes feel thin, and you can see the budget limits at the edges of the frame. But that preacher at the center is exactly who he needs to be. He doesn't move like a movie star. He moves like a man trying not to do something terrible again. Most actors play tortured, like Willie plays tired and dangerous in the same breath. That's not something Universal could have manufactured with a different lead. This is Willie's pattern from the start. He'll sacrifice scale, money, and polish before he sacrifices the truth of who's standing in the middle of the story.
And hung around a while, trying to keep your spirits up.
Honeysuckle Rose is one of those films where the plot and the gossip line up a little too neatly. On screen, Willie plays Buck Bonham, a married road musician who falls for his best friend's daughter, played by Amy Irving. Off-screen, Irving was in a real relationship with Steven Spielberg when she made the movie, and then briefly got involved with Willie. You don't need tabloids to see the parallels. You can feel them in the way the camera lingers on her when she watches him sing. The film is selling you a dangerous romantic fantasy. Real life was busy taking notes. Here's where the conflict sharpens. Irving had been Spielberg's partner for years and was widely expected to play Marion in Raiders of the Lost Ark. After the relationship fell apart, with the Willie affair often cited as the breaking point, yet that role went to Karen Allen instead. Irving's personal life was suddenly a casting story. Willie walked away with another notch in his outlaw charmer myth. Spielberg moved on and still made one of the biggest adventure films in history. It's Irving who lost a career-defining part. The punishment lands hardest on the least powerful person in the triangle. That's a pattern not an accident. My read watching the Honeysuckle Rose now, it plays like a double exposure. One image is the country melodrama the studio thought it was making. The other is a document of a young actress catching feelings for an older musician whose whole persona is built around being irresistible trouble. You can't separate the two. The conflict here isn't Willie versus Spielberg or Willie versus Irving. It's Willie's very real magnetism colliding with how this industry writes the aftermath. Men get myth, women get bad choices and lost roles. End of the day, Willie is regarded somehow as the guy that ruined Amy's chances. Honeysuckle Rose proves that in Hollywood, the story doesn't stop when the camera's cut. It keeps rolling, and some people don't get to rewrite their scene. Safe to say, Nelson and Spielberg definitely won't sit with one another in the same room.
Tell me yours, I love you so.
When Honeysuckle Rose first landed, there was another quieter backlash. Not about the music, not about the affair, but about Willie himself. Some critics basically said he can't really act. The film, they claim, keeps handing him a guitar whenever things get hard, and the plot leans on familiar showbiz cliches to carry him. That's one of the cleanest conflicts in his screen career. Willie's natural way of being versus the town's idea of what proper acting looks like. Let's be honest here, there are many actors who try to do their own thing and stray away from what Hollywood wants them to do. If you're grading him by drama school standards, the critics have a point. He doesn't disappear into roles. You don't forget you're watching Willie Nelson. The voice is the same, the walk is the same, the casual way he leans on furniture is the same. He doesn't transform the way movie culture likes to reward. But the camera isn't a teacher handing out grades, it's a censor. Its only job is to answer one question. Is this person interesting to look at when nothing is happening? In Honeysuckle Rose, there are stretches where Willie barely moves or speaks, and the scene still hums. His wife asks a simple question, and he takes half a second too long to answer. Irving's character reaches for him, and his hand hovers like he's already halfway guilty. That's acting, it's just not the loud kind. However, you cannot please everyone, and this is Hollywood, eat or get eaten. After his successful stint in Electric Horseman, this film was supposed to send Nelson to the next level as a leading man, but fails miserably because the guy just can't act. In fact, he conveys his lines in such a laid-back manner, it's almost like he's half asleep and not even there. His screen presence is nil, and he ends up being badly upstaged by both Kennan and Pickens. My take? Willie doesn't play characters. He plays facets of the same man dropped into different myths. In Honeysuckle Rose, he's the weary adulterer who still wants to be loved. In Barbarosa, he's the outlaw already halfway to ghost. In The Electric Horseman, he's the old hand who's seen every scam. It's all the same river, but each bend is different. Hollywood wanted a chameleon it could plug into any script. Willie brought them a very specific color and refused to dilute it. That's why they never quite knew what box to put him in, and why his best work slipped into cult status instead of award stock. So when people say Willie Nelson can act, what they really mean is he won't stop being Willie Nelson, and that's exactly why the performances last.
And the feeling that no matter where they went,
Well, good morning to you, sir. Plan to kill me today?
they would always be wanted.
If Red-Headed Stranger is Willie's battle for authorship, Barbarosa, released in 1982, is his battle with indifference. This is the one that still stings if you care about westerns at all. Directed by Fred Schepisi, Barbarosa pairs Willie with Gary Busey in a strange, funny, bloody folktale about revenge and legend. It's not a standard horse opera, it's closer to a campfire story. A young man learns how colors become myths and how myths poison every generation that believes them. Willie plays that myth, Barbarosa, like a man who's having fun with his own ghosts. Critics loved it. Siskel and Ebert literally held it up as an example of how to do an adult western right. Other reviews praised Willie's performance as relaxed but sharp, a perfect fit for a legend who's half real, half story. Under normal circumstances, that's where the success story starts. But Universal, by multiple accounts, didn't like the film. And when a major studio doesn't like a movie, it doesn't have to sabotage it loudly. All it has to do is nothing, little marketing, limited prints, no push with exhibitors. You wake up a few weeks later and the thing is gone. Watching it now, Barbarosa feels like Willie's strongest screen work. He's funny without mugging, dangerous without flexing. You buy him as a man who has killed enough people to become a legend and is now stuck living up to the story. It's the perfect use of his persona, that soft voice coming out of a man who's done hard things. The conflict here isn't an argument in a boardroom. It's an artist and a director delivering exactly what they promised, and a corporation quietly deciding it's not worth the effort. That's a brutal kind of fight because you can't win it with talent. You can only outlast it. And even then, the damage is done. Barbarosa shows you that Hollywood doesn't always have to hate you to hurt you.
Willie Nelson. He's been there for those who've needed him, and he's helped thousands of people across this land. Now, Willie needs your help, and he's reaching out the best way he can.
By 1990, the conflict wasn't with a studio or a director. It was with the United States government. I know, not Hollywood, but it's so fitting Willie fought with the IRS. Who doesn't hate the IRS? Years of bad tax shelters and compounding penalties left Willie staring at a tax bill so big it might as well have been a movie villain. The IRS padlocked his properties, seized assets, and turned him into a cautionary headline. The tax-dodging country star who'd finally hit the wall. In Hollywood terms, this is the moment where most people disappear. You call the lawyers, blame the accountant, vanish to a ranch somewhere, and wait until the late-night jokes die down. Willie did something stranger and more honest. He cut a bare-bones record, just voice and guitar, called the IRS tapes "Who Will Buy My Memories?" and structured it so that a big chunk of the revenue went straight to the government. Then he went on TV and sold it like any other album. You can call that a stunt, but listen to the songs. They're not jokey, they're weary, reflective, sometimes even tender. He's turning humiliation into material, not hiding from it. The same guy who fought Universal for control of a red-headed stranger is now treating a tax nightmare like just another story that needs to be told honestly. Is this a Hollywood conflict? Indirectly, yes. It cuts against the whole illusion machine the town relies on. Stars are supposed to look untouchable. Money problems are supposed to stay off camera. Willie put his worst moment on the cover art and invited fans in. Most people protect the brand at all costs. Willie's biggest fight with the suits ended with him selling his own embarrassment on VHS. And coming out more human, not less. Line these 5 conflicts up and a pattern forms. When a studio tried to swap him out of Red-Headed Stranger, he chose a smaller film over a bigger lie. When real life bled into Honeysuckle Rose, the fallout showed how this business punishes the wrong people. When critics asked if he could act, he kept giving them the same unpolished, honest presence. When Barbarosa got buried, he didn't chase the studio's approval. The film quietly found its own cult. And when the IRS came for everything, he turned the wreckage into songs and paid them back in public. Willie Nelson's great performance isn't any one scene. It's the long, stubborn choice to stay recognizable to himself while an entire industry keeps offering easier roles to play. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more Studio Craft deep dives. We'll see you in the next one.